Hey everyone, and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. It's finally time to present my ultimate World of Warcraft UI for leveling, story, and an action-oriented game feel. This setup has a very specific purpose, and by using a controller, it's very different from what most of us use regularly, so it's important that I begin by stating my goals with this, because I'm fully aware that it's a bit odd. The entire point of this is to turn World of Warcraft into an immersive action RPG. Rather than make a tweak to a normal UI, I sort of chose to wholly align my work towards that goal and that goal only. This means throwing away a lot of the traditional methods of controlling the game just right out the window, as well as many other elements that are typical of a UI. With the level scaling revamp and the allied races, many people want to experience the World of Warcraft again, maybe attempting to enjoy the game from a totally different angle, or perhaps one that's a bit closer to what initially drew them into the game in the first place, and that is being immersed in another world. This is also perfect for throwing World of Warcraft on a big screen. You can do that easy with something like Steam in-home streaming, which I've already covered in a video a while ago, or just a really long HDMI lead. Now you might be thinking, well, dude, didn't you just post a, 2 or 3 weeks ago, a video on an immersive keyboard and mouse UI? Yes, I did, but this is using a controller. The previous UI was just enhance the immersion of World of Warcraft within the context of a mouse and keyboard sat in a computer chair. This is designed to be a genre-feeling sort of shift to make the game truly feel a lot different, and yeah, for that reason it does require a completely different setup. But let's get back to the core of it. Being immersed in another world. That is the North Star, the entire thing that this setup is oriented towards. Blizzard have taken care of the world and the content, but they've left the user experience pretty much to us with add-ons. So in short, we are turning World of Warcraft into something that feels like an action RPG, so that the story and the world can be enjoyed, ideally on your new allied race character. The first part of creating this immersion is stripping back the UI such that you're only seeing the things that you need to see. For this reason, we're using a few simple settings to make it such that your combat hotbars are only displayed when you're in combat. We are then using immersion, which drastically improves NPC interactions, making them a lot more smoother with a very simple, easy to use control scheme and a better sort of to digest presentation. We probably still want to move around with ease though, and keep tabs on what we're doing, so both the minimap and the quest objective panel are shown by default. As you can see though, entering combat, that's really what makes things come alive here. Now, remember that making World of Warcraft immersive is our North Star. We can't just remove all the UI and call it a day. We need to enhance things like combat, not just, strip away the UI. So for this reason, we're using console port and a gamepad. Why are we using a controller? Well, if you've played Witcher 3, Assassin's Creed Origins, or any similar game, you probably did not do it with a mouse and a keyboard. It's just not really ideal. Now, I get they're totally different games, and while it does go against everything you might know about playing World of Warcraft, the game actually does feel very natural on a controller, at least in a leveling context, and really that's all we need here. Part of why this works so well is because it's just great with the action cam. You see, the camera is locked to your right stick, which means you get a very different feeling control scheme, one that just happens to go particularly well with the action cam, which I admit can feel rather jarring with a mouse and keyboard. Now, one thing that's very noticeable with the Legion is the brilliant combat animations. The problem is the default character right behind the character literally means that your character's back, their cloak, their shoulders, they obscure most of the animation. You don't actually see what's going on. Now, the action cam shoulder offset fixes this problem by framing your character in a manner that enhances your perception of three-dimensional depth, which has the effect of making the animations a lot more impactful, and it basically just makes the fight look a lot more weighty. This might not seem like an intuitive thing, but once you've tried it, I really do think it's quite clear that it works. One thing that you'll notice is the core buttons are shifted away to the sides of the character. It's not typical for World of Warcraft, but this setup allows for more space below the character's feet in terms of the camera framing and the composition, which results in a more immersive camera. Plus, I mean, come on, we're leveling here. This gets us closer to a camera that's more like a third-person action RPG. Now, we easily have access to enough buttons here with the face buttons, the right trigger, the right bumper, plus the left trigger modifier key, and the left bumper modifier key. It's more than enough. Now, also, I'm hiding the chat. Why? Well, this is designed to be purely a single-player experience. You don't need a chat box. It can easily be toggled on and off with a keybind, though. Now, as you can see here, running around the world it's very immersive, right? There's nothing cluttering your view, and the camera's right down in there with you, so you really get sort of a sense of presence in the zone. But when you do need to do something, the functionality's there. Your health bar and your buffs are actually displayed, as are those for enemies, and along with all of your key bindings. Talking to NPCs is really simple, as is managing quests. Console port is fully compatible with the rest of the World of Warcraft UI. It truly is one of the most professional feeling add-ons I've ever used. Now, after all this, I applied my sound settings from the previous UI, where I tuned up the ambient sounds in relation to the others that you feel, so that you're kind of more placed within a zone in terms of like the audio or texture of it all, instead of just listening to some music. And overall, I found this UI to be extremely seamless and immersive. Combat, even at low levels, feels fun and impactful, and this makes core elements of the game shine in a way that uniquely fits the context of leveling and enjoying the world of Warcraft. Perfect for enjoying the lull in between expansions, where some of us would rather just take it easy and manually level up some new allied races for that heritage armor. But let's quickly hop in game for a live demo and walkthrough. Alright, so here we are in game, taking a bit of a look at this new setup using console port. So the first thing that you really notice is, wow, it's pretty damn different in terms of how it feels. It's a lot more like you were right down there in the world with your character, which is very different from the normal perspective that you view World of Warcraft in. As you can see, there's more depth in my character when I move the camera around because of the shoulder offset that is going on because of the action cam. And in terms of the UI, well, you can see really not that much is there. I have hid the chat. As you can see, though, I can toggle that on if I so wish, but in this case I don't particularly want to. Moving around using the controller in just the normal controller way of moving honestly feels really natural for a game like this, and yeah, we've just really kept things nice and minimal. Now, when I go up to this NPC, you can see an amazing feature of console port. Basically, it's kind of like a generic interact button, so I can just walk up to her, hit X again, now we're talking. Of course, because immersion and console port, same developer, they're designed to plug into each other, because that all works so well, it's just so seamless, and you can see my camera behavior actually changes to be more focused on the NPC that I'm talking to. So I can go and accept these quests. I can hit X to just move through the dialogue, or if I just want to quickly accept it, I can hit the A button. So that's fine. I will go do my reading, get both those quests, and I can hit just open up the map there and see where we've got to go. So right now for me, if I hit the up button on my D-pad, I mount up, and a mount like this really does look sort of look cool. You can kind of appreciate all the detail that has went into it. Of course, it's one of the newer mounts. So we'll talk to this NPC, we'll grab that quest, and I'll run over here and get this one too.
What can I do for you? See you around.
So when I'm running around here, you can see that I have enlarged the size of my minimap a little bit. I just think it works right now for how this setup is. It is possible to, as an example, move some of these things around so that I could have my objectives be on a different part of the screen, but there's something, I kind of like how they all align just over there in the top right, and they're kind of in your peripheral vision. They're not really in the way, you can glance at them if you need them. But anyway, let's get into some combat here. So we'll head over to this quest area, and what you're going to see is that as soon as I head into combat, so I'll dismount and I'll hit my targeting button, which you can see I can just toggle this, and it'll, target between enemies, walk up to him, hit X. I'm now doing Crusader Strike. So, if you have a look at my UI here, you can see that it very much is different from World of Warcraft's normal UI, obviously. It feels a little bit more like an action game, and in general, I found it all to work pretty damn well. Now, you can have setups for console port that are a lot more optimized for throughput and performance, but to be honest, you don't really need it. When I'm just going around through the world absolutely demolishing stuff, this feels perfect. It actually feels a lot more action-oriented as well. So I've really found that it's actually been quite a lot of fun playing the game this way. One thing that I also ended up doing is you can see, so I'm a Lightforged Draenei, right? And what I've put onto RB pretty much is an alt. Right now for me the right trigger is just, does a click of tab targeting, which for the most part pretty much always works when it comes to targeting enemies. And you can really see the new camera in action here, I think, in terms of just really appreciate, like, your character, right? Just with the new animations, it all works so much better when you're sort of framing it like this instead of being zoomed 50 miles out. Unable to see anything, especially like with, you have that there. Now, this is actually kind of nice, so of course we got a guild invite, that kind of sucks, but I can just hop over there. You can see console port works perfectly with the default UI stuff. So that's really easy to deal with. Now, if I just go into the settings, I'll go somewhere a little bit safe here. Yeah, we'll go up here and I'll take you through this. So this again is just how nice console port is. All of the things in the micro menu are up here. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, it puts in a nice little overlay. It just all feels so damn polished. But if we go to controls, this brings us into the main console port menu. It is a tabbed menu that's just well designed, easy to use, and it all works easily with the D-pad. So there's a whole bunch of things, like say the interaction button that I was talking about there. You can set this up to pretty much operate however you want. Of course, there'll be default settings that come with this. You can do so hiding the mouse cursor, that's what activates your normal movement. For me, I pretty much just disable it all the time, so as soon as I move, you know, my right stick is controlling the camera. In general, just easy controls there. If I go over to my key bindings, the way that I like to do them is with this view, so I just select what button. So, you know, A right now is jump. If I go to X, you know, Crusader Strike is me hitting X, LT and X is Templar's Verdict. Very easy to set up, because most World of Warcraft core rotations, there are just a few buttons, you know, maybe 5, so it fits actually quite well onto a controller, which is perfect for leveling. Now, there's a bunch more advanced features. You know, if you go here into the combat section, we can sort of cover just a whole bunch of things if you want to show your, you know, your experience bars, different variants of how all that stuff's set up. Right now, you can see I've got all my offsets, which is why my stuff is to the left and the right of the screen. As I explained earlier, sort of frees up the space below my character, and, you know, I feel is a good bit more immersive. There are also some other great features. If I hit LT and A, which is in my current key bindings, it brings up this. It's kind of like a little version of Opie. Now, you might still want to use Opie, but, you know, this is quite handy for just, you know, throw your Hearthstone on it. There we go, now I'm hearthing. Brings up this nice radial menu, and whenever you get into quest content, it will actually dynamically put quest items on this hotbar for easy use when you're questing, which is tremendously seamless and all works really just so damn well. And then, of course, you probably heard, you know, I've got the sound effects sort of changed a little bit to make it more immersive, and overall, it's a pretty damn good setup. Now, of course, the actual instructions for how to do all of this, they're in the Medium post that's linked, and it's like 2 minutes, right? You could literally have this working, I'd say 5 minutes after you finish watching the video. Just go to the Medium post, give it a glance, you put the 2 import strings in, one for Elf UI, one for console port, and you pretty much should be good to go. This is so seamless and foolproof, and in my view, really is just a more immersive and cool way to play the game that is perfect for leveling up your allied races, or maybe if you want to play Battle for Azeroth in a way that's a bit more traditional, or, you know, a bit more like a sort of an action RPG, then you can do that as well. But there you go, that is a look at this immersive UI setup. Check out the Medium post if you want to get some more details for how to set it up yourself. But I really hope you enjoy well, this video and the setup. I certainly have. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.